If you want a step-by-step proven process and formula for becoming a full-time or even part-time reseller in 2024, this is the only video that you will need to watch. We're going to break it down for you guys so it makes sense, it's simple, and you can start applying this today.
Hi everyone, my name is Bethany.
And my name is Sean.
And we are
Trash Pandas Thrift.
I
like doing the intro.
We are a multi-six-figure reselling business. I run it along with my husband Sean, and on this channel we share with you all the tips, the secrets we've experienced in our years of reselling so that you can start and grow your reselling business too.
Also, just so you know, as a precursor, we do have our little notes down here, so if you see us looking down, it's because we care about you guys, and we made notes, and we wanted to make sure we hit every single point that we wanted to hit, and we're just going to go ahead and dive right in and explain to you how you can start a part-time or full-time business in reselling today, and what you need to do to make that happen. So you want to hit on step one?
Yes. I think that when you are thinking about creating a successful business, a reselling business in 2024, the most important thing is having the right foundations. And that is why from the get-go, I don't want you to just see and jump in. I want you to know what you're getting yourself into. I need you and I want you to have a why. I want you to understand why you want to do this, why you want a side hustle, why it's important to you. Because that why till this day, like right now, is the reason behind why me and Sean do everything that we do in our reselling business and in content creation too. Our why has always been for our family, for our freedom, for creating generational wealth that our families have never had before. And we take that with us no matter what we do. And we work hard to make sure at the end of the day, we are giving ourselves a life that we set out to give.
Right, and especially now that we're making this channel, our big why for this channel is actually to provide education to the reseller community. And that's huge for us because when we first got started, or rather when Bethany first got started, having resellers out there who put out information is a huge reason why she was able to grow the business from where she was. So having a really strong why is extremely important in any business so that you don't get sidetracked with things that happen in the day-to-day. Because things are not always going to go great, and we will talk about that later in the video. Things just kind of happen sometimes, and if you have a strong enough why, any how will get you to where you want to go with that why. And that kind of leads me into the second point of this first step, which is having that strong why, and I call it the magic 50 stack. So I used to be a personal development coach, and one thing that I used to do with clients is I used to have people write 50 reasons why they were awesome, or 50 great things about them, or 50 reasons they wanted to accomplish X, Y, or Z goal. And I feel that this is one of the most important and vital exercises when starting a reselling business today. Give yourself that 50 stack. Write down 50 reasons why you want to accomplish a successful reselling business, right? Whether it's part-time or full-time. Give yourself enough reasons stacked in your favor so that mentally it'll help you absorb all of the processes as you go forward with in the back of your mind having those strong reasons and those whys.
Yeah, and that's why this is step one, because reselling is, I thank the day whatever content came up on my page back in like 2019 and I first found out that reselling was a thing. But if I only relied on discipline and hard work in my first few years, I don't think we'd be here today. I think this is step one because it's probably the most important step. You need a why. You need that driving innate force that comes from within on those days where you need to go sourcing and you find nothing at the thrift store, or you're at the bins every single day like us. If there is that innate driving force within you, nothing will stop you. You can overcome anything and create the business of your dreams.
And don't overthink it. Just make the 50 stack, give yourself 50 reasons, whatever they may be, even if some of them are a little bit repetitive and just reworded in a different way. Make that 50 stack for yourself. And this leads us into the third point, which is have realistic and positive expectations for what you want to accomplish with reselling. So a lot of people, when they get into reselling, if they want to just do it part-time, totally different story, and they still don't have a clear vision most of the time. But a lot of people want to get into reselling, and they look at it as, I want to make $150,000 a year reselling. Maybe that is your goal. What I would advise is work backwards from the dollar amount you want to make and why you want to make that dollar amount. If you're at a current job right now where you're making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, and you're satisfied with the income, you would just prefer the freedom, that means you only have to make $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month as a reseller. You don't automatically have to double your income just because you're entering a new venture, right? So make sure you work backwards from the actual dollar amount that you want to make. Why do you need to make that much? If that's $100,000 a year, or if that's only $15,000 a year. Work backwards from the number that you want to make, and then make sure that you have that number in mind with actual reasons for wanting to accomplish that number. It's going to be really important for another thing later in this video.
We are huge on goal setting. We are huge on just bettering ourselves as people in terms of what do I want? What do I want to accomplish? And that is totally a great foundation for a reselling business.
Step number 2, decide how you're going to make money as a reseller. You want to dive a little bit into this one?
Yes. So there is so many ways to make money as a reseller, and we're probably living proof of that. We've resold on eBay, on Poshmark, on Depop, on Mercari. We have wholesaled, and we still do, to other resellers. We sell on a live selling platform like Whatnot. We've also dabbled into selling to buy-sell trade stores where you bring in inventory and they pay you cash on the spot. So whether it's traditional platforms like eBay, Depop, Poshmark, list goes on, live selling platforms like Whatnot, or wholesaling to other resellers, there is a ton of ways to make money that all involve buying thrifted clothing at those low prices and reselling it for as high of a price as you can get.
Right. And I think this is a really overlooked step because a lot of the time, especially when a lot of people are first getting started, or even more seasoned resellers, when they're thinking about expanding or growing their business, instead of doubling down on things that they could already be focusing on, they try to spread themselves across all these different ways of making money. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's worked for us to a lot of extent, and we've also seen it not work for us to a certain extent. So make sure, especially if you are a newer reseller or you're even brand new, make sure you know the avenues that you're going to be utilizing to start making money. If you're going to be using eBay and Poshmark and Depop, go make your eBay, your Poshmark, your Depop account and make sure that that's what you're going to be using for a while. If you want to start with live selling on Whatnot or Posh Live, go and start those platforms, sign up for the platforms, and that's going to be your main avenue. Figure it out first. You can test things. You can definitely test the waters and see what works for you, but definitely try and have an idea in mind of what you want to be utilizing and what you want your business to look like, because your day-to-day life is going to look very different depending on which avenue you decide to go with.
Yeah, and the path that you choose to begin is not always the path that you end up in. The very first platform that I first started reselling on was Mercari. And Mercari ended up being in our sales video for 2023. I don't even think I had a screenshot up of the sales that we made that year on Mercari because it ended up being such a small part of our business. And that's totally fine. That's totally okay. Your business is going to ebb, it's going to flow. But the reason why we're saying this is so important is if you start out doing one thing, you can get really, really good at that one thing. Once you've gotten the time, the experience under your belt, then you can branch out. For example, starting on one marketplace, right? I know a lot of resellers cross-list, and we are huge fans of cross-listing or listing the same item on multiple marketplaces. I think that is huge. 100%. That is so essential. I also think that can be a lot for a beginning reseller. I think that it can be a lot to handle. And I think that baby steps is completely the way to go. And that's why we're trying to show you, number one, we said have your why. Number two, where to start. Don't jump in all hands, all feet first on deck. Dip your hand in, try it out, and grow as you learn.
And going from step 1 and 2 into step 3, we can now talk about the first real step of going into your reselling business. And the first real step that we're going to be talking about is going out and just taking action.
Yes.
Going to your local thrift stores, going to a local Goodwill outlet if they have one, going to Salvation Armies, going to Goodwills, just the regular stores, the racks, a lot of people call them, going to consignment stores, going around to your local area and seeing what it's like to be a clothing reseller. Yeah. Seeing what it's like to walk into these stores and not go in there just thrifting for yourself, but seeing what it's like to go into these stores and looking for pieces that you can now sell. So obviously this is going to be I already know a lot of the comments are going to be, well, I don't have the knowledge yet, or I don't have the experience yet, or I don't have the information yet. Don't worry about that at this stage. That's gonna come actually probably in step 4 or 5. I have to check our notes. But step 3 is just going and just dipping your toe in the water to see if you like swimming, to see if you like the water before you like swimming. Right? See if you actually like the water, if the water is warm before you dive all the way in. If you go in there and you're just so used to doing the thing that, thrifting, and you go in there and you're like, you know what? I don't know if I really actually want to sit here and go through racks all day. Maybe the bins is better for you. If you go there and you're like, you know what? The bins are just too overwhelming. I need to go back to stores and do stores only. Maybe the stores are better for you. But give yourself some time to experiment with those things and just go and try it out. Look up comps. Comps are basically when you look up an item's value on the internet and compare the actual listed amount to the sold amount. So go and just look up comps for items. Pick up brands that you don't even know. If you don't know the brand, just look it up on eBay. See what people are listing it at, what it's selling for. Just get the exposure to different clothing items.
The very first time you walk into a thrift store, I want you to be prepared. And this is what I want you to have in your reseller toolkit, let's say, when you walk in. One is a smartphone, a phone, and you want to have that eBay app downloaded to do exactly what Sean just said. I remember the first few times I walked into a thrift store, hand out with my phone, my weapon of choice, right? Going rack by rack, hanger by hanging, looking up everything. Every single brand that I saw, I would open my eBay app, I would type in Bowden top, and I would just look at what came up, what people were listing it at, checking, hitting the settings, pressing sold, and then seeing what it sold for. And at that point, I wasn't so sure how to know, should I buy this? I see it's listed for, okay, there's one listed for 15, there's one listed for 25. I'm not really sure. Are they selling it? I can't see when they listed it, right? It is so much at first. All that you need to think about your first few sourcing trips. By sourcing, we mean thrift trips to gain inventory to resell. Your sourcing trips is getting to know what is nearby your area. Yep. What are you seeing? What are you seeing the most of? And then when you see a tag that sticks out, like, I haven't seen that. I went through every single rack of tops in this entire store and I haven't seen that. That is when you're beginning to understand, okay, reselling is a game of looking for gems. I always say thrifting to resell is kind of like digging in a pile, looking for those needles, those gems that you can sell online for an awesome profit. We've talked about this in an earlier video, but there are multiple ways to find items to resell. You don't only have to rely on Gucci and Louis Vuitton and these huge big designers. This channel, and I'm so glad that you're watching this video, but this channel is living proof that you can learn to resell no matter where you are. And even if you come to me and you say, Bethany, I looked at everything and there was only Old Navy and Walmart, we can show you how we still sold that and how you can too.
Yeah. And also, one other thing I want to say before we move on from that is make sure you're going through the different kinds of clothing, so like the different categories in the store. So don't just go to t-shirts and then you're done. Make sure you're going to women's shirts, blouses, dresses, lingerie, jeans, pants, shorts, shoes. Go to all the different sections of the thrift store and check out all the different things. Maybe you'll be really into shoes. Maybe you'll be really into one thing, and that will be your home field advantage as a beginner, because maybe you already know a little bit about those things. But also, it'll be a huge advantage to you when you start learning about those different categories. Yeah. So that's what we recommend. Number 3 is just go get some exposure. And we're going to talk...
yourself acclimated.
Yes, getting acclimated. And we're going to talk now, going into step 4, about how to actually start gaining knowledge.
Number 4 is crucial with number 3. The first thing that I want you to do is an eBay search in your area. I've done this before, I think in an Instagram reel, and I think it is so important as one of the first steps to see what is actually being for sale on eBay in my area. It is your best tool. Research, knowledge, using the eBay app, using Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms. The first tool I want to tell you about is one that helped me a ton. open the eBay app, and just like we just talked about, searching solds, right? So searching, for example, Bowden top, searching sold, I want you to do that more generally. I just want you to search top, women's top. I want you to check on sold, and then I want you to edit the location. Edit the location in the eBay settings when you go to the right to make sure that it's within 25 miles of a radius to you. And you can increase that if you're in more of a rural area. Those items are the items that other eBay sellers are selling nearby you. In those filters, I want you to increase the price from 0 to a minimum of 25 or 30 about as a minimum average selling price, what those items are selling for. And I want you to read that like a textbook. I go listing to listing. See what other people are finding, what they're selling nearby you, and then click on those listings, click on those tags, and do your own research. Search those brands up, see how many are listed, compare them to how many are sold. And if that number of sold is close or more than the active, that means it has a high sell-through rate. This is a term we've talked about before on this channel, and if you've never heard of it, a sell-through rate means how fast is an item selling versus when it was active. So when there are more items sold than active, it means it has a good or high sell-through rate. Now, I know that's a lot right up front, but I think it's really awesome to have these tools in your tool belt when you first start.
Agreed. Another thing that you can do, which you're already doing right now, is you can watch and absorb content.
Yes.
So, when you're first learning, a couple of years ago, I got into Muay Thai. And when I first started training Muay Thai, I was learning at my gym first, and that was helpful, obviously, going to the gym and taking classes. And then I started watching Muay Thai fights on YouTube. Then I started watching kickboxing fights on YouTube. Then I started listening to podcasts about those things. Then I started watching instructors on the internet from different schools break down techniques in different ways. And when you hear content absorbed in so many different ways from different perspectives and different backgrounds, it gives you so much more of a broad scope of information and knowledge. And maybe you'll absorb it differently from a different person than you would from someone else. So make sure you're absorbing a ton of content. When Bethany first got started, and to this day, Bethany listens to podcasts all the time. Mm-hmm. Bethany watches YouTube videos of what sold, trends, styles, current things that are going on the marketplaces, and she just absorbs all of that information. And it's really, really, really helpful. When Bethany first got started, she was also part of a reseller mentorship group, which helped her a lot. I mean, it helped a ton because you got to ask questions as well. And that could be something that you might want to look into. It's not necessarily something you have to do. It could be something, though, that you might want to look into. There are plenty of people out there who offer stuff like that. Just make sure you're mindful of what programs you're joining, because you might be able to get some of that information for free on the internet, or maybe you might not jive with the coaches of that group. And that's really important, too, because you want people that you can trust. But information is free. Point being, in this video is free. Information is free, and you can 100% get tons and tons of information from just watching videos, listening to podcasts, and going out there and experiencing things too. And that's going to be another part of this, which is creating your comps, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
As a beginner reseller, information overload is everywhere. Everyone is telling you, this is what you need to sell, that is what you need to sell, this is it. I don't sell this brand anymore. This brand doesn't sell for me. Take it with a grain of salt. I consume all of this content to this day daily. I have resellers that I'm subscribed to on my YouTube, resellers that I follow on Instagram that I look at every day. I even have stores that I save on eBay, and I research eBay sold comps from these stores for different brands, and I check on that every single day as my personal research, so I never stop learning. That is exactly what you need to do. You take that content and you milk it. You milk it for all of the information that it's worth, no matter what other ulterior motive is at play. And I don't want to say that all reselling content has an ulterior motive. I just think that as resellers, we all kind of forget that we can only speak to what's working for us. I can only speak to what worked for me, for what worked for Sean, for what worked for us. I think that a lot of these principles, you can take them, you can apply them in conjunction with your own and run with them. And that is the whole point. Take that information, everything that you gather, soak it up like a sponge, and become this huge mutant version of yourself from all of the information that you've gathered along the way. That's exactly what we are. That's exactly what our reselling business is and how it came to be.
Yeah, it's there's, I forgot this expression, but it's a funny quote. It's basically that you can't be the best Jay-Z because Jay-Z already exists. You have to be the best version of yourself. Because if you're just going to copy somebody else, it's probably not going to work out super well for you. It doesn't mean you can't add their tools to your toolkit. So we definitely talk a lot about that, and we're going to be talking more about that on this channel. You know, honestly, that's why I think that we're such amazing resellers. I do think we're really good at this because we are constantly changing and evolving based on what's working for us at that time and based on what's working for us. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. What matters is what are we doing and how is that working for us? And the moment it stops working for us, we move on. We drop it like a sack of hot potatoes because it doesn't matter if it worked before or if it works for somebody else or if every other reseller is doing it. If it's not working for me, I don't care. And it's really important that you make your business your business. Create your secret sauce. It's like the Big Mac sauce, right? Everybody can make it on the internet, but there's really only one Big Mac sauce for the most part, and they have that little secret ingredient.
You always have a food example. I love
it. I'm hungry. But if you ever, I use ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise sometimes to make like a good sauce when I'm dipping pretzels or sometimes put on a hot dog, and I add some lime juice sometimes, salt and pepper and different stuff. But the reality is, that is you. You are it. You take all of the different ingredients that you possibly can and make it so that it tastes good for you. What works for you. Because what tastes good to me might not taste good for you. We have different taste buds. We have different realities of where we're living, what we're able to source, what we like to source, what we can put our time and effort into that's realistic and practical for our lives. A value model versus a high sell-through rate model, right? High ASP model versus a low ASP, high value. There's style-based versus brands versus a hybrid. There's live selling versus platforms. There's so many different variations, and you're just going to have to test the waters.
We use some big terms in there. So, Sean, I love when Sean uses reseller terms. I'm like, yes. But ASP, if you're unaware of what that means, is average sales price, what your items are selling for. He talked about some different reseller business models. So the volume model, meaning selling a lot of items for a lower average sales price. A higher average sales price model, meaning less items, higher price, right? So there's many different ways to go about it. Sean and I, if you couldn't tell already, are probably a hybrid of both of those. Just because, honestly, our reselling business just never quite fit into one box. And it probably never will, and that's totally okay. You don't need to pick one lane and just fly through it, and I have to do everything exactly the way someone told me to.
Right.
Take what you learned in your research that you do continually, and that you keep doing. Add that with your experience, exactly, and create your own comps. Create your own way to do business.
Your own reference experiences.
Exactly. You know, when you're watching all those videos that we're talking about, you're watching what sold for other resellers, what other resellers picked up. You're looking at eBay comps in your free time before you go to bed. When you go to a thrift store and then, okay, I'm going to experiment. I'm going to pick up one of these. It looks like maybe I was researching trends and style aesthetics, and this is a great example of an on-trend piece. I'm going to list it. I'm going to research keywords or words to put in my listing that increases value, and I'm going to see how it sells for me.
Right.
If it sells well for you, replicate. Replicate it and run with it. And if it doesn't, experiment again. That's totally okay too.
Lower the price, try different keywords, there's so many strategies to this, and we're going to talk about all of these on the channel as we go along. But the point is, make your business your business. And to lead into the fifth point, which is our fifth and final point, and also just as important as the rest, it's kind of a two-parter. So it could be step 5 and 6, but they're kind of in conjunction with each other. The first part of step 5 is go and experiment. So we talked about all the information. We talked about, getting your toes in the water. Now you're going to take all of this and you're going to go start buying inventory and starting to list it and sell it on your platforms. You're going to have to do a lot of steps in between. You're going to have to make sure that you have a good inventory system, which we can talk about. An inventory system is a way of storing items so they don't get lost and confused and you're not able to ship them out once you've actually listed them. So having a good way of storing your items is going to be a part of your business. There's going to be what kind of bags you use, what kind of poly bags you use to ship your items. Do you leave it on hangers? There's going to be so many different parts of it. Don't obsess with that. Do not. A lot of resellers, they like to play in the micro while they're not worrying about the macro, right? They're not worrying about, they're worrying about what kind of tags they should be using for their clothing, but they're not actually worrying about listing consistently every single day on their platforms. And what I want you to do is I want you to just go get in the dirt. If you've ever watched a kid when they go to the park and they're just having a good time, they're just playing in the dirt, they're rolling around, they don't have any toys, maybe they're playing with sticks, and they're just making something out of nothing. They're making an experience out of nothing. That's what your job is when you're first getting started. Just go do the thing. Go experiment, go have fun, go buy pieces that you're not sure if it's going to sell, as long as you can keep that within your budget and you can afford it. If you have a bins close to you, go try different style-based pieces, try different brands, experiment with all of the different tools that you now have and see what's starting to work for you, because that is your job now. This is your business. You are a business owner. Congratulations. You are a business owner now, and this is exciting. This is the most exciting part. So, do you have anything to comment on that before I move to the next little part of it?
No, I think experimentation is everything. I have experimented with so many things, and it led us to the business model that we have today. And that isn't without what happened to me first, which goes into number 6. Yeah. When you're experimenting...
5AB or B. 5B.
5B, right? Experimentation is everything. And honestly, sometimes you're bound to fall, and that is okay. That is more than okay. If you do not fall, you cannot get back up even stronger, right?
Right. Yeah, this is a really important part too. You're going to have a lot of things that come up in your business that might not come across as the most positive experience ever, right? Mm-hmm. But reframe, they are going to be. But either way, the point being, you're going to have returns. You're going to have items that you spent $15 on that you brought home, and there's a giant flaw that you missed. It's going to get you really, really upset. You're going to have off days where you just can't get pieces, or you're going to have really crappy sales days, weeks, or even months. We've been there, right? And that's just part of the growing process. It's part of the growing pains. If you look back at something a year ago that really, really stressed you out at the time, and you look back at it today, you're probably looking back at it and thinking to yourself, that really wasn't even that big of a deal. It was just something that happened along the way, and I probably was really, in that moment, it was really bothering me. But it's really not that big of a deal. And the importance here is that you overcome whatever it is that you're facing, whatever challenges you're facing, and you stay consistent. You stay in the game. You keep missing your at-bats. You keep striking out. You keep striking out, because eventually you're going to hit it, and you're going to hit it, it's going to roll, and someone's going to catch it, and you're going to be running to first base, they're going to catch it, they're going to knock you over. But you still hit the ball. Then the next time after that, you're going to hit it, and you're going to get a first base. And then again, I'm awful. I don't know sports, by the way. The only sport that I watch is...
it sounded good to me.
The only sports that I watch is mixed martial arts. But the point is 1 yard at a time. One ground ball. I think it's called a ground ball at a time. 1 round at a time. You're going to get better and better and better. And you're just going to continue to evolve and learn and grow twice as much. A great book that I highly recommend you read is The Compound Effect by Dan Hardy. It's an amazing book about how compounding your little victories over time will eventually turn not from here to here to here, but from here to here all the way up, because it happens, it's slow, and then it just keeps doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling, and that's what happens. But if you're not consistent and you fall out of the game, you're going to lose. Yeah. You're not going to be in the game long if you just let failures get you down. You have to, and it's okay to get down. What's more important isn't about getting down, it's about how you get back up.
Getting up.
Yeah.
Yes. We have faced many trials, many tribulations in our reselling business, and I'm sure there's many more to come. And honestly, at this point, I look forward to them because I know I'm only going to come out of it stronger. I know that no matter what, our reselling business might change. It might adapt. It might grow, and that's a good thing. And when we sat down to make this video, I was thinking, I don't think there's been a better time to start a reselling business than right now. I think the reselling community is at, if you've never watched reselling content, if this is your first video, you might be thinking, what is she talking about? But reselling has been around for a while. There's been a lot of resellers who's been on eBay so much longer than me, probably like longer than I've been alive. Maybe like upwards, maybe close to 30 years, right? Reselling it's been around for a while. And there might be some discourse that reselling's getting harder, or reselling's changing, or reselling's getting tougher. And I have to say that at this point in time, we say all the time, the secondhand market is booming. It is exploding, and there are more resellers than ever. There are more clothing that needs to be saved and resold than ever, and there are more buyers looking for that clothing than ever, and there has never been a better time than now. If you're watching this video in 2025, take everything I just said, enter 2025, and it will be more true.
Yeah.
It will be truer. You know, you becoming a reseller. I hope that maybe you were thinking about it, you watched this video, and now you're like, okay, I think I want to do it. Yes. Tell your friends. Do it. Reselling is my passion. It's our business. It is the best thing that we've ever found. It's the best thing to ever happen to us. And that means the same on a good day, and that means the same on a bad day when we get 10 returns, because at the end of the day, it's still not a bad day, because I get to wake up, I get to thrift clothes, sell it online, and love what I do for a living. And if it's your side hustle, you get to make that extra money. You get to plan that vacation that you wanted for years, that you've never gotten, or save money for your kids' college fund. And maybe you didn't know how you're going to start that. This is your opportunity to even do something just for yourself, just to have a passion that's fully yours, that maybe you've never had. It can be whatever you propel it to be.
You also just don't know where you are on the bell curve. So a lot of people, they're like, oh, I missed out on the reselling thing. I'm too small a fish. We just started our YouTube channel 2.5 weeks ago. Today is May 22nd, 2024. We just started our YouTube channel 2 weeks ago. I'm not afraid of missing out on a bell curve because YouTube's been around since 2006. What matters is how good can you be? How much time and effort can you put into the thing? We only know we missed the peak after the peak has passed and we've had enough time to analyze the data, right? So nobody knew in 2008 when the market crashed, nobody knew that they were about to hit the market crash on the peak until after that. And retrospectively, you can look back and be like, oh, I can see what was happening there, right? And yes, there was pundits and there was people talking about it, but my point is, you don't know when you've reached the pinnacle until way after, and you have way more data to know what that is. And there is nothing but positive proof that reselling is going to continue growing as a second-hand market is proven to be continuing to grow. So don't let that be something that festers in your mind, your thoughts. And one more point I do want to make on step 5C, or step 5 A, B, or C, whatever it might be, is I want you guys to remember that you started this for a reason, your why. And what I would like for you to do, if you'll bear with me and you'll be a little bit more of the, I don't know the right way of explaining it, but if you'll be a little bit more on the visualization and law of attraction and thinking things will happen for you kind of thing. I'm trying to say it without saying the woo-woo, because the whole community and personal development says woo-woo, but it really is a matter of you get what you look for in life, right? So if you're constantly thinking of like, oh, I'm going to go to the thrift store and not find anything good. Or, oh, I went last week and it was just garbage. Or, oh, I've had 3 bad sales days. It's just going to keep being bad. You're going to find ways to create a negative reality for yourself. So what I want you to do is I'd like for you to look at that 50 stack that you have as often as humanly possible every day.
Yes.
I'd like you to step into the vision that you're creating for yourself for your reselling business every single day. What is that goal? What is that outcome that you want to achieve? Step into that every single day. Visualize it, feel it in your body, in your mind. What do I want? Do I want to put money away for my kids' college fund? Do I want to turn this into a full-time thing? Do I want to make this so that I can live this kind of life? What do you want? And see it every single day. Stay consistent and see that thing and make it real, because it will happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When will this happen for me? Not if. Not can it, when will this happen for me?
Yeah, you left me speechless. That's honestly, we are on the same wavelength about that, and I think that's why running Trash Pandas Thrift together, that's why we've come to the conclusion that this is probably the most important step that we've laid out, and it completely is a culmination of everything else we've said.
I hope this video was valuable to you. I hope that you'll be able to go along and follow this and comment below and let us know. Let us know what questions you have. Let us know what you think about this. Let us know how it's going for you as a new reseller or even as a more experienced reseller, just trying to get a fresh look at what reselling could look like if you did it maybe a little bit differently. Let us know what you guys think. We appreciate you so much. And you have any closing thoughts?
No, thank you guys so much for watching. Whether you are a new reseller, a growing reseller, a seasoned reseller, these are things that I take with me that I still do in our business to this day, and I reflect back on it. And I think that's so important for us in every step of the way.
Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like the video, leave a comment below, and we're excited to have you guys as part of our community. We love you. We appreciate you. We are Trash Pandas Thrift.
Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.